Good morning, everyone. My name is Latoya. I want to take some time today to speak on um, the messy video and the whole takeoff situation. I want to give my perception, my perspective on the messy video and on why I feel like takeoff was a sacrifice. The whole messy video itself, to me, was a sacrificial ritual. My whole perspective on the video that Quavo, alongside another producer or somebody, made, Takeoff didn't have no, I'll say, insight, or he had no parts of the video itself. The whole Halloween theory of the video, to my understanding, is all of the haunted memories, the haunted thoughts of Quavo, from the spider webs to everything. And all of the signs inside of that video were signs that we all know, um that Takeoff was a sacrifice for Quavo. I don't really I like music. I love the Migos. I never really just did a background on them. I just hear certain songs. I like certain songs. I can relate to certain songs, certain artists, and that's how I know of those certain artists and who certain songs belong to after I get a liking for them. But I'm not the fan to go out and go to different concerts and to learn, a person's history, or to know everything about certain people, because I have my own life. But I love music. I can relate to a lot of different music. I like all genres of music. Um, Gospel, R&B, rap. It is certain artists who I can relate to the most. Cardi B is one of them. I love her. It seems like some songs, not all of them, it's like she reads my damn mind. But to me, and to my own understanding, my opinion, not saying that the Migos didn't have a good relationship, but we all have different flaws in our family. And my whole thing is that a lot of those old traumas triggered Quavo when him and Saweetie broke up. Doing my research, it was a year ago. They was dating 5 months ago or something like that. I don't know the whole background of it. But inside the messy video, after the front door scene, where Takeoff is standing by a skeleton. I know a lot of people said that that was, one of the signs of sacrifice. As he started walking from the front door, is two little boys to the left, and one of them, my own opinion, is Takeoff, and the other is Quavo. Takeoff is the one with the chain on, and Quavo is the one that's a little taller than Takeoff. And I don't know, like, if they was into it and all that stuff, but then Takeoff ended up running. I'm talking about the two little boys in the beginning of the video. That's how I came to the understanding that, you know, that whole video was Quavo's traumas that he had been going through his life, his whole life from childhood up to adulthood. Him losing his mom in 2019, then him and Saweetie, she cheated on him with his cousin, one of his um members of the Migos, and all of that just triggered the emotions that he had buried inside of him for years. We all have younger siblings, or if you're a parent, you know how the older siblings are with the youngest. Like my kids always, I have three kids, 16, 15, and 11. And my two older kids always down my throat about my 11-year-old. And they're always saying, "Oh, you let him get away with so much. Oh, when we was 11, we couldn't do that type of stuff and all that." Like, sometimes it's not that deep, but a lot of times it is, especially depending on how the older siblings were treated. Like, did the baby always get his way and everything? Was there never um a fault? Was he never like being held responsible for his actions? And even though, Quavo and Takeoff were uncle and nephew, they were only just a couple of years apart. Even in Quavo's speech, he spoke on, how he was basically a sore loser, how Takeoff never wanted to play sports because he would know if Quavo lost or not, because he would come in upset. Even when they were playing like wrestling or certain games and things, Takeoff always wanted to be on Quavo's team because he didn't want to be his opponent. He wanted to be on his team because he know Quavo had a short temper. He know Quavo is a sore loser, and he know that Quavo get real angry when things don't go his way. And Quavo actually described that in his speech. And if you just listen to it, he even basically spoke on the same things that I just spoke about. How Takeoff would run to his mama or something, and she would tell him like, "No, don't do that, you're being too rough," and all of that stuff. Quavo is a sore loser. Quavo is a person who don't know how to deal with his anger problems, and in certain situations like that, when certain things don't go right in your life, it just triggers all the emotions that you buried, you never spoke about, you never talked about, you never really got out, or maybe if you did try to speak on them, they were never heard. He was, probably always brushed off. So, um, each time something didn't go well, he exploded. And now, that Takeoff has died, it's a lot of videos and a lot of old interviews that's coming up. And Takeoff was the center of attention of the Migos, if you ask me. He was in most interviews, they were asked questions like, you know, um people wanted Takeoff to drop a solo album. Maybe those were interviews from years ago or whatever. I don't know, because I've never just followed the Migos like that. I listen to music and that's it. But He was the most recognized of the three. He was the most popular of the three. I'm quite sure, we all have our um different picks. So I'm quite sure some people loved Offset, some people loved, but in most of the videos and stuff that I seen, it was always about Takeoff, and I remember it was one interview that they asked Quavo, why do they feel like, and I'm quite sure that they have spoken on it too, and they kind of know that Takeoff was the best of the three. But I remember it was one video that they spoke about why do they feel like Takeoff is the best out of the three of them. And they asked Quavo this question, and you can hear the jealousy. You know what I'm saying? Like if they would have asked him about Jay-Z or Tupac or Biggie, it would have flowed off of his tongue, of why he felt like that they were the greatest. But when it came down to his nephew, somebody that he's known his whole entire life, he stumbled because it took him out. It's like that question took him off guard, and he stumbled across his words. And my whole perspective of that is I felt like it was jealousy there. Like even when certain people would ask Takeoff certain questions and stuff. Like he was so humble, but it's because he already knew, like, okay, and it's sad that sometimes that we have to like dumb ourselves down in a sense to make someone else feel good. It's sad that we can't be proud of ourselves without somebody feeling like, oh, you're stepping on my toes, or oh, you're bragging too hard, you're bragging too much. It's crazy that you can't even be happy for yourself. It's sad that you can't even celebrate yourself. And Takeoff was very, very humble. Like whenever they said certain things, he was like, no, it was all of us. No, we're a group. We're sticking together. Like you can tell that certain things went on not only as the Migos group, but in their childhood, to whereas he didn't want to take all the credit. He wanted to always make sure everybody was recognized, and it's reasons for that. It's reasons for that. Even Quavo himself said, his dream was not to become a rapper. He didn't know what he wanted to do. Takeoff's dream was to become a rapper. That was his dream from a childhood. His dream was to become a rapper. That was not Quavo's dream. I'm quite sure it probably was not Offset's dream either. It was Takeoff's dream. And with him, he kind of um what's the word I'm looking for? I wouldn't say talk them, but motivated them into the studio time. I wouldn't put it past if he wrote some of their lyrics and stuff for them. Maybe not, that's just my opinion. But after the whole Offset and Saweetie thing, and they said that Offset paid to get out of the Migos, it was still a contract at the end of the day. They still signed a contract at the end of the day. It don't matter about the money. There was a contract. We don't know if it was a 10-year contract, if it was a 20-year contract, if it was a lifetime contract. And with that contract not being upheld, there were still consequences behind the breaking of that contract. That's why in the Messy video, you see Quavo laying on the bed with the contract of the Migos. If they separated, and this is now Unc and nephew, this is now Takeoff and Quavo, why do he have a contract of the Migos video on the bed with a gun facing that contract, you know? And my opinion of that is, he had to make a sacrifice, okay? If it's not all three of y'all, then the only way out of this contract is if one of y'all die. Like we still have agreements. It don't matter about the records that y'all are making now. We still had a contract, I'll just say a 15-year contract with the Migos. And Takeoff is all about loyalty. Takeoff, to my understanding, was finding his spiritual self, or maybe he had been his spiritual self because he spoke on words like manifestation and all that stuff. A lot of people who are on the devil's time don't even speak on certain terms like that. And then in the messy video in that song, he mentioned something about what he say he said something about like the syrup I used to sip on. So he wasn't even sipping syrup like he was in the beginning anymore. He was finding himself. And if you ask me, like, I don't know, maybe he wasn't rapping about them. Maybe he was just rapping, as the world's view or whatever. But I felt like, he had found out some stuff, and he made his lyrics to that messy video was pertaining to either Quavo or Offset, if not both. Because he says, I know you niggas want to be me, but it's levels. I got the gang tatted on me. That's forever. Want to know my moves and all my spots, but I move clever. Want to know my stash, how much I got, but I ain't gonna tell them. You know, and he was all about family, but at the same time, it's certain things that you're supposed to keep confidential, and then far as that syrup part when he said, hold on, push it, pussy, like the syrup I used to sip on, he said, and that's act nigga, not walk, not quagging, not red. I don't know if he said red or rad, but walk is a type of promethazine. It's a syrup. Quaggin is a pharmaceutical company. Rad, RAD, is a type of syrup, or it's a pharmaceutical company. All three of those got something to do with syrup. I don't know if act was pertaining to the Bible version, the book in the Bible, act. I have not read that book in the Bible to even be able to break down. I don't know if he said et, like AT, or if he said ACT, act. He said in this act, nigga, not walk, not quagging, not red. Walk is a type of syrup. You can look it up, WOCK. Quaggin is a pharmaceutical company. I looked that up, because I thought Quaggin was Quavo. I was thinking like maybe he was talking about his cousins or something. But all three of those names got something to do with syrup. So he wasn't even sipping syrup anymore. He was still smoking weed, but he wasn't even on that drink anymore. He was, in my opinion, he was changing. And the way I feel is he probably was thinking about going solo. And not saying Quavo ain't a millionaire, not saying Quavo don't have certain talents and things, not saying he didn't just open up whatever he opened up. I don't know if it was a coffee shop or jewelry store, whatever he cut that ribbon to or whatever. Not saying he didn't have his own money and all this stuff, but Takeoff was the whole mastermind behind that whole group. That's my understanding. That's my perspective. That is my opinion. It may not be facts because I don't do research into people's lives. I have my own life shit. I'm trying to get to where they at. So I can't tell you, this is just my opinion on certain things. And I know how trauma works. And a lot of us are walking around here and hurt from so much childhood trauma that we have buried deep, and then soon as certain things don't go right, everything comes out. Everything comes out. And that video itself showed how Quavo really felt. And then in his verse, he said, I'm the huncho, bitch. I'm about my cheddar. Little bitch keep going outside, but bitch do better. Outside, outside, however he said it. But anyway, he all about his money. He's all about his money. So if they offered him, hey, I'll give you $200 million, but you got to sacrifice somebody. He's money hungry. He's greedy. He's thinking about the money. He ain't thinking about the love, the loyalty, the none of that, because all he has experienced in his life is hurt. His daddy died when he was in kindergarten. His mama died. Ain't no telling how the relationships in his teenage years went. Then when he finally gets somebody that he's in love with, she has sex with one of his homeboys, and it just triggered all the past hurt that he has been through in his life. And then on top of this, Takeoff is getting all the recognition. Everybody admires Takeoff. That stuff, if your heart is not right, if your heart is not healed, if you are living out of a space of hurt, it is so easy for the spirits of the devil to consume your soul. To be jealous is a spirit of the devil, envious, malice, greed, hate, all of those, competitiveness, all of those are spirits of the devil, and we don't look at it that deep. It's deeper than that. The spirits of God is love, light, happiness, um, it's a lot of spirits, but the negativity is spirits of the devil. And when you are depressed, when you are sad, when you are going through certain things, it is so easy for the devil to for the entity of the devil to consume your spirit. And then in that video, he talks about what he say, smoking exotic shit with an exotic bitch, geeking on bringing all type of narcotics with me. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know if he had been on certain things. They don't look like it. You know, you never know what people do. But he was so depressed and just going through so much. Like, even when him and Saweetie tried to um um piece their relationship back together, like that's a part of hurt that you just can't like get over so soon, especially when it's somebody so close. Like, how can we go to a family function? How can I trust you to do X, Y, and Z if you did this to me the first time, like you will do it again? So that's a relationship that may not ever work again, because the trust is down. He's what do you want, little kitty cat? But his trust is messed up. Far as the whole J Prince Jr., I ain't never heard of them folks a day in my life. This just how that goes to show where I be at. I work. I got 3 children. My mind, I don't know nothing about these folks. But of course, yeah, somebody pulled their trigger. So they are just as guilty as Quavo. But at the same time, where was Takeoff at when Quavo was riding around with these folks? I feel like that dice game, that argument was a whole um part of the plot to kill Takeoff. They rode around for God knows how long, coming up with this specific plot. And then the dude in the back of Quavo in that car was they so-called bodyguard or whoever he was. All of them were riding around with J Prince Jr. or whoever he was. And at this time, my opinion, they were plotting on what would take place once they get inside of this bowling alley. Where was Takeoff at? Then a young lady came forward and said that Takeoff didn't even really want to go. See, it's times, man, when God tries to show us certain things, like God send us signs. When the devil speaks, he speaks loud. When God speaks, he whispers, because God wants you to be still and be I'll say not by yourself, but have some alone time so that you can be able to hear him. He's not going to speak to you when you're around a crowd and all this energy is flowing and all this projection is going on, and you're hearing the thoughts of somebody else's, and you're being affected by the mood of somebody else. You're not going to hear God. Sometimes you will, but a lot of times we don't even pay attention to those signs. But that sign that God tried to give Takeoff was he didn't even want to go, to my understanding, from a text from some young lady. He didn't even want to go. And then he sent the text message, said he was ready to go. Those signs right there, those are gut feelings. Those gut feelings are your intuition. Your intuition is God. When you feel uncomfortable, when you feel out of place, when you feel like you're not supposed to be in a certain place, certain situation, certain location, around certain people, however it may go, that is God talking to you. But a lot of times we shrug it off. A lot of times we pay it no mind, like, oh man, I'm just being a party pooper. I don't want to act like this. No, that is God. We need to start listening to our body. Your body is going to tell you something before the doctor can tell you about what's going on with you. And when your body talks to you, that is God. You get the bubble guts and stuff. Yeah, sometimes there's maybe nervousness. But sometimes it's like, man, let me stay at home. Let me not go. You feeling all nauseated and something. It ain't something that you didn't eat. Sometimes. But if you know you done ate, if you straight, you was feeling good before you got to where you at, that is God talking to you. That is God giving us signs. God give us signs from the birds to the trees, from our bodies to, goddamn it, a stub toe. If you heading out the door and you stub your toe, and then you got to run back in the house because you done left your lunch box, and then you notice when you get back to the car, you got your lunch box, but oh, you forgot to set the alarm or you left your keys. Call out. A lot of times, God don't want you to go to a certain place. A lot of times those 10-15 minutes that you running late, you saving yourself from an accident that's about to occur, if you would have been there in that very moment. But we don't listen to that. We always rushing. We live in a world to whereas, and I'm like that myself, taking my kids to school to come to work. I'm rushing. I don't want to be late. I need the money. And I know how God works. I understand it. I'm learning to understand. But at the same time, you know, we live in a world. We got to pay our bills. We got to do this. We got to do that. I'm not trying to get off topic, but anyway, Quavo sacrificed that boy. Quavo was jealous of him. Quavo was a sore loser. Yeah, whoever pulled that trigger is just as wrong as Quavo. But at the same time, Quavo set the whole plot. It was his plot. He's money hungry. Whatever money or whatever was being offered to him, he already lost his mama. He don't give a damn about nobody else. I don't give a fuck what you see. Nieces and nephews, all that. Yeah, you sacrificed this boy. He probably was about to leave that group between both of y'all. He already couldn't be himself. He couldn't even take, acknowledgement from people. He couldn't he was so humble because he knew Quavo was a sore loser. He knew he probably would get bashed a certain way behind the scenes. It's been happening all their lives. And if y'all just pay attention to that messy video, that's about, man, family. I don't know about the dinner table and all this stuff, that food fight and all this stuff. All of those are traumas that are inside of Quavo's head. That's why the spider web, that's why it was made on Halloween. The little spider web scenery, it's all clouded memories of the traumas that Quavo is holding inside. And he's not going to live a peaceful life. He's not going to enjoy whatever bid he made to sacrifice his own family member, he's not going to enjoy it. See, what a lot of people don't understand is God allows sickness. God allows viruses. God allows certain things because he tried to get us to understand and to wake up. In the Bible, God will allow a lot of stuff, all this coronavirus and monkeypox and all this stuff. God allowed it. Just like he made it flood for 40 days and 40 nights. He trying to wake us up. He's trying to get our attention. But we so stuck in the materialistic of the world. We so stuck in what other people are doing. We only think about God when we're in dire need of something. We only give him the attention when we are lacking something. And then as soon as things are going right in our life, you think, oh, I did this myself. Oh, I got up here myself. God ain't nowhere in the picture. You might thank God, but you're not giving him the full credit that he deserves. When Adam and Eve sinned, when Adam and Eve disobeyed God, that caused the world to be cursed for generations and generations and generations to come. Before Jesus came, when we sinned, we were supposed to die immediately after we sinned. But due to Jesus dying for our sins, we were able to live, and we still are held accountable for our sins. But that's where redemption and salvation and all that come in, that we don't die immediately. Therefore, the ground's still cursed. God, we don't die after our sins, but we still have to deal with the consequences of the sin. That's where the law of land come in at. The grounds were cursed when Adam and Eve first sinned. That's why women have contractions and stuff. He cursed our womb. God said every child will be born evil. It's in the book of Genesis. Every man will have, a hard life. He giving us a choice. Either you're going to fall into this temptation of the world, or you're going to come to me and follow me. So after what Adam and Eve did, everything's going how it's going out here in the world. But still, man, we have to understand that there is a God. And everything happens according to God's will. It's hard. I wasn't supposed to get on there. That's a whole nother topic in itself. But Quavo sacrificed his own nephew. I don't care what nobody says. I don't care how you put it. He sacrificed his own nephew out of money. He the huncho. He about his cheddar. He said it's gonna eat him up. We'll see it. Just pay attention to it. It's gonna eat him up because Takeoff was the mastermind behind the Migos. He was the mastermind behind the Migos. He kept that group together. All of his freestyles and all that stuff outdid Quavo and Takeoff together, if you ask me. He could freestyle off the dome, and they, just piecing little stuff together. And then after his death, that messy video, take Quavo go do a revenge video. And he's so happy about it, even though he didn't take time to fully write down those lyrics or do the fucking video. He didn't take time with it because there's pieces of certain songs up in there if you listen to it. But the whole thing that got me is the title of the song, Revenge. Revenge on who? Because it ain't on Jay Prince now. Jay Prince Jr., whatever the fuck their name is. It ain't on them. Like that man could have sacrificed anybody. He could have sacrificed Sweetie. He sacrificed his own nephew, and that video speaks on the exact details of every fucking thing, including the card game. Yeah, they said the altercation started over a dice game. Okay. It was a small altercation in that house, even though it was only two of them and a female that got in between them. Whoever that was, it probably was Takeoff and Quavo. I ain't no telling. It's a video. But that whole video speaks on the past traumas of Quavo from a childhood all the way to his adult years, all the way up into the Saweetie video. I mean, the Saweetie situation. But that's it. That's all. If you agree or if I'm missing something, feel free to put it in the comments. Please like, share, subscribe. This is all my opinion, my whole perspective on the Quavo and Takeoff situation. If I'm wrong, oh well, that's my opinion. Everybody's entitled to their own opinion. And my opinion is Quavo sacrificed his nephew out of greed, out of hate, out of jealousy. And those are the truths. But we'll just see what happens for Quavo after this. Because he is wrong. He is wrong. He could have sacrificed his damn self with his little ugly ass. I'll never listen to nothing of his no more. Unless, I mean, I love Takeoff though, man. I like this song. My first time, I ain't know it was the Migos, but I love the Key to the Streets, y'all. I promise before I even knew, I used to love this song. Like, it used to motivate me so much. Of course, I like Lucci. You know what I'm saying? Certain songs, I don't know them to, I can't tell you no name of no album. I can't tell you what number the song is or none of that. But when I listen to Pandora and put my stuff on and all the little random song, man, the Takeoff parts there. It used to motivate me because I work two jobs. I'm a single parent of three kids. So I get motivated off certain songs and stuff. But he say, take off. What up, Slum? Hey, go ahead, take off. 24/7, no day off. Balling like we're in the playoffs. Man, this shit motivated the fuck out of me. I love this song. I love it. And I didn't even know it was Takeoff. But man, please like, share, subscribe. Feel free to add your opinions. We may value the same opinions. I ain't no telling, but like, share, and subscribe, especially if you agree or if you can kind of, you know, relate to certain things. But Quavo, you wrong, bruh. You are wrong for money. If y'all would have just been patient, and then yeah, like okay, like on that exotic part, yeah, like he said smoking exotic shit when an exotic bitch geeking on, bro. Okay, he was at one of them parties then. That whole part right there where he's speaking on, he was at one of those parties that they be having, them parties where everything go on it. That's where he was smoking all that exotic shit with an exotic bitch. And he was geeking. And then the devil got in his mind because he under that influence. And then he already depressed and stressed. And it was easy for the devil to get into that thought process. And then once he made that deal, he couldn't go back off of it. And he just knew, hey, I know some goons that ain't gonna mind going in, you know what I'm saying? Helping me out. So they are they are responsible for it. But Quavo, he wrong. And then, during the part where Takeoff was laying on the ground, like, you ain't supposed to move no dead body. You know you weren't supposed to move him at all. They lifted him up. I got a cousin that's been in the hospital for 2 months from a gunshot wound to the back of the head. He's still in the hospital. He in a coma. But sometimes certain things he do, he's still responsive. Ain't no telling, man. That man probably could have still been here. They set him up. So all the blood that's rushing out, they done moved his head. They done made shit go everywhere. They done fucked up, veins and stuff. Ain't no telling where that bullet that went in his neck or whatever it went to. They done set the man up. Like, was you just trying to go on and finish it off? Make sure he was gone? Because I know somebody today that survived a gunshot wound. I ain't talking about my cousin. He's still in the hospital, but he been hanging on for 2 months. I know somebody that got shot when I was a little girl. This man's still alive. He was on one of those bags for a long time, for a few years. But he ain't no more, walking around talking and everything. This bullet went through his temple and it's still in his head. But he's still alive and well, walking around. They gonna pick that man up. Shook him up. They knew what that shit was gonna do. Let's get his ass up. Let's make sure, goddamn it, you know what I'm saying? He died. But Quavo, you wrong. And even that sorry, sad ass speech that you said, you basically told everybody you was a fucking sore loser. You was jealous. He ain't want to do nothing like in that hotel lobby video. He probably hated the fact that Quavo said that shit about that Rolex watch. We got the same Rolex, some shit. He doing it because of me. He got it because of me. Some shit he said. Like, Quavo, you wanted to be like TAKEOFF all your fucking life. Probably. You ain't even know what you wanted to do. Being a rapper was his dream. And then you come in and let these folks sneak you into sacrificing your own fucking blood. Like, the shit, it goes on in the world today. It goes on every day. I'm not a celebrity. I ain't got nothing that I know of. But my own family is doing some shit to me. And it's a lot of people that can relate. The same stuff that went on in Cabana, Mexico, or whatever it is with that young lady. Them folks was jealous of her and had to get her out of the States to do what they wanted to do to her because they couldn't do it while they was in their hometown. So they tricked the girl into going to a fucking a vacation with them, a party with them. And then they did what they had been wanting to do for the longest to that girl, Shaquella Robinson. Sorry if I got her name wrong. But we have to understand you ain't got to be rich. People out here sacrificing folks that don't even got nothing just because people can be intimidated by your ambition to succeed. People can be jealous of the way you maintain your struggle. People prey on folks' strength all the time. Everybody ain't got the same willpower. Everybody don't have faith in God. Not everyone, can applaud somebody in their time of accomplishments when they ain't doing so good themselves. That's jealousy. Certain stuff strike up certain hateful energies inside of people. And it's sad. And it mainly always be family because I've had to cut all my family off and I hate it. But it's certain shit that they still not acknowledging that they did to me. They still not acknowledging the way that they treated me. And I always felt for the last few years that one of my sisters would try to take me out and I work in a regular 9 to 5. I ain't even making $20 an hour. I got 3 kids, but I sacrifice myself. I don't do shit for self. I love me and I know I do. I give myself a lot of self-care, self-love, but I want to start back getting my nails and stuff done. I be wanting to wear clothes and stuff, but all my money go towards my bills and my children. My kids playing sports and stuff. My daughter, my baby boy, all of them, like, they need shoes and shit. I work. So I sacrifice myself. You're not supposed to sacrifice nobody. Your life will never be right. You sacrifice self. You sacrifice stuff within yourself. Okay, well, I stop smoking cigarettes. I stop cursing so much. I won't go to the club every weekend. I won't get my hair done for a month and just save all that money. Every time I think I want to get my hair done, I put that money to the side to save it up. I stop smoking weed. You don't sacrifice people. When you sacrifice people, you are of the devil. You are an unconscious being. You have no soul. You got no conscience. You ain't got no heart. You're just an empty fucking vessel. And that's all Quavo is. That's what he's going to become. An empty vessel. All for the love of money. And he ain't going to never enjoy it because that shit going to eat him up. Takeoff is going to hunt the fuck out of him. But that's it. That's all. I just wanted to share my opinion with y'all. But y'all, this stuff going on every day. It ain't just in the industry. It's going on every single day. Every day. Energy, projection, all of that stuff. You could think something. That's why, like in the Bible, one of the verses, God say, he said something about, yeah, but I know your thoughts. Your thoughts can be a sin. You can desire something for so long, it can turn into lust. Lust to lust is a sin. Somebody can admire you for so long, it turns into hate and jealousy. Those are sins. Something positive can turn into negative all the time. But it's not too late to let go of your negative mind frame. It's not too late to put an end to the negativity and repent for your wrongdoings. God is a loving and forgiving God. Yeah, you may have to still go through that karma. You're going to have to still go through certain things according to, depending on how much sin you've done, what type of sins you've done. You're going to still have to go through that karma. But the first step to acknowledging your wrongdoings and to try to make a change is to repent and turn away from those ways. It's never too late. It's never too late. And after you do that, man, you will see the wondrous opportunities of heaven on earth with God. It's not too late. People feel like, oh, well, I done sinned for so long. It's too late. I know people today that they got away with murder and they done right in their life. God sits high and look low. But the only thing is to change. You got to want to change. Not saying that it's right to kill nobody. But sometimes we make mistakes. We are all born evil. And God forbids if the household that we grow up in is a narcissistic, evil household. That only builds up trauma. It only triggers certain emotions. But it's never too late to try to change. But you have to let go of certain things. You have to let go of certain people. You got to get away from them. If everybody ain't willing, you want to change. That's what Takeoff is trying to do, y'all. I know this was. The way he was speaking in certain things, he sit back and observe. I'm an observer. A lot of times people who sit back and observe, they follow their own advice. They don't listen to what who said, he said, they said. If they feel strongly in their mind that this is what's going on, that's what they believe in. I don't listen to nobody else's advice. I go by my own. Now, if I'm talking to you and we can agree and we, got the same type of um advice or whatever, then yeah, maybe okay, that's the understanding. But if I strongly feel a certain way and then you come and tell me that my way ain't the way I supposed to be feeling, baby, I don't give a damn what you talking about. I follow me. Because not one person in this world is the same. All of us perceive differently. All of us got our own different perspective. All of us got our own different perception on certain ways of living. I know one person, not even twins. I know one person on this earth the same. And I'm gonna end it here, y'all. But have a nice day. Quavo, sacrifice, take off.